Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm back here with Greyson, top 8 PPG regionals. Greyson, what were you playing today?
The best blue leader, Croc.
Speak up.
You want to yell?
A little bit, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Stop smoking.
Me too.
I'm scared.
I can't hear you.
Chris is gonna judge me. Look at him.
Come on, bro. Yell.
Alright. So why was that the best deck?
I like Croc a lot. He's busted into yellow. He has a very good Whitebeard matchup. Just being able to bounce all of the meta is annoying for most decks. Rebecca's like an auto win because Rebecca can't beat bouncing their stuff and Sabo does nothing.
That's fair. Alright, so let's start running through the list. What you got?
Start out, I play one drop law.
Why?
Because Jackson Huang is a one of menace and said play it, it comes up, and I did it.
That's fair.
And then I played Fort Kaya. It's probably the best blue 2K we have right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there we go to.
How often did you actually use that to cycle?
I used it a lot when I stacked my deck with Dopey. That was like the combo. I used it against my yellow player round 3. I went Dopey, Kaya, and then I put 2 3-drop blockers on top. So I put 3 blockers on in one turn.
Wow. That's impressive.
He basically, like, it was over for that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then after that, we start the blocker lineup. Start out, I play for Sunday. This is probably the best card in your deck right now for this meta. Everyone has to pop it, so you just get the Loop Red Rock, Loop Thousand Worlds, Loop Twister. All these are just like busted events in this format.
Gotcha.
And then I play 4 Dopey, stacks your top 5, or bot decks it. I bot decked a lot yesterday, where like I'd have Senta, Pacifista, just like bad cards, and I was past a point where I wanted to draw them, so then I'll bot deck them. And we have the best card on my deck, Sentamaru. A lot of the meta doesn't have a clean answer to him, and if they do, they have to commit their entire early game turn to it.
I just want to show the community.
Oh yeah, I play 4 different copies because it's funny. But yeah, a lot of the decks don't have a clean answer to it, so most decks either have to go out of their way to answer it, or they ignore it, and then I spit out an extra body and snowball the game. So this lets me play early game without having to commit much resources, and then I slowly just get to go closer and closer to my top end turns.
Yeah, so I saw you often, you'd only use it once and you would start swinging with it.
Yeah. I normally swing with it the turn I activate it.
Really?
Yeah, I'd go 5K, and then I'll spit out a blocker or a 6K, and then I defend it if they over undercommit.
Gotcha.
Because if I can get 2 uses of it, it's GG's, but the swing is just as valuable as getting another body.
That makes sense.
And then this arguably is the second best 2K easily. This card saved me a lot of games yesterday where I would basically mulligan for Red Rock or something in certain matchups.
Gotcha.
Against one yellow player, I didn't have any Red Rocks going into my turn, and I had 7 cards in hand. So I used this, redrew 6, and I drew Red Rock, and it won me the game.
That's impressive.
Yeah. And then I played 2 Mihawk. It should be Aldea, I think is her name.
Alvida?
Alvida, yeah, it should be Alvida, but I don't own her, and I realized it when I got here, so I just said screw it and played Mihawk.
So wait, why do you want Alvida over the Mihawk?
He's better for like your aggro matchups. She might have helped against Zoro today actually, just to be able to clear small bodies. That's really all he's like. I feel like that's her only use. Besides that, she's the 2K, but I think I never used him one time the entire event, so like anything else would have been better.
Gotcha.
And then after that, we start the Pacifista lineup. So to start out, I played 2 Kuma. This card is like amazing into half the format easily. Any deck that can't bot deck and has to pop this card just instantly loses so much tempo off this card being a thing. Against Whitebeard, being able to spit out a blocker if you need to, or the 6K vanilla is way too much tempo for a lot of them to handle. And if they have to commit Dawn to swinging with like into Kuma, because you can just aggress with it. They answer it, and then you punish them with another body from hand.
Gotcha. Now, how often did this Kuma come up? Or this Pacifista?
I won multiple games off this.
Really?
Because Red Rock do this is a very good turn.
Gotcha.
He's also a 5K, and I did use him to swing. My round against Law yesterday, I had a Kuma, this, and a Mihawk on board, and just swung in for game. He had no way to out them.
Yeah, now we saw that with your queen matchup too. You started putting all your pressure with the
Yep.
Kuma over here.
Because if he doesn't bot deck it or put it in life, he just gets punished, and you don't want to prioritize it over Senta because Senta just lets me get cards from deck and not hand. So then cheating bodies from deck is just always better. Also, I forgot to mention it, a really interesting thing you can do with Senta is memorize your life by looking through your deck the first time you trigger it.
That makes sense. So you know what you have over there.
There's a lot of big event triggers in this deck that are really important to know, or like knowing how many Mihawks are in your deck and stuff like that is just valuable information. Also, making sure you know which Pacifistas are in deck or in life are important because you only play 2 of this. So if you try to trigger for a blocker and there's not one there, you feel like an idiot.
Gotcha.
Yep. But that's the Pacifista lineup. Definitely the MVP of the deck. It put in so much work this weekend. After that, I played 3 Soga King. He was whatever. I want to cut one of him for another Kuma probably. I played him the least out of the weekend, but he did come up a lot in my Rebecca matchups today. But I didn't play one all weekend before that.
So do you think cutting the ratio down would matter?
No. If I need it, I can mulligan for it, but more often than not, I would seed off Dopey and just want to bot deck it because it's just like it's a whatever draw.
Okay.
The best thing he's there for is de-breaking your hand, honestly.
That makes sense.
Also,
So-
he is a nice 7k, like 7 cost, 6k beater, like on curve. But more often than not, your 7 on turn is like Senta effect and then 1000 Worlds if you can get it off.
Gotcha.
So he's whatever. He's a 1k counter, so worst comes to worst, he's just a counter.
Okay.
But then I play 6 boss monsters because they're what win you the game now because you just wall up until you get to them. So I play 4 Mihawk. He has a lot of this format, especially like Rebecca. Almost all of yellow besides Katakuri gets hit by it. Law doesn't like it because you bought deck 5 drop. Zoro is the only matchup that like they don't care about it as much because their top end is like non-existent now. But it's still a good card no matter what. Just bot decking any body and making them lose advantage on board is always important.
Gotcha.
And then this is the card that it definitely didn't clutch up as much as I wanted it to, but against yellow, it's definitely one of the MVP cards.
I was gonna say we saw this come down against you on the stream, and
Yeah,
when
against-
that hit, that was just devastating.
Yeah. Specifically against Queen, this card is really good because bouncing a Katakuri and one of their blockers that they probably trashed a card for is like game changing.
Now, would you keep that moving forward, or would you try to swap it for something else?
I would not touch any card in the deck besides that Soga King.
Okay.
I liked every other ratio. This card at 2 felt perfect, and worst comes to worst, you can trash it because you do have a lot of cards that trash your hand.
That makes sense.
I might throw in one of the 0 cost events over like 1000 Worlds maybe, just to have another like event in my hand. But honestly, having all the event triggers was like very beneficial.
Yeah, and then you can also still cycle it with Sasaki.
Yep.
And then you can also just pitch it out for the other cards. That makes sense.
Yeah, Sasaki being a free mulligan makes like playing extra bricks, which I play very few anyways, is like nice. Because my only non-counter cards are the 2 Pacifista blockers, these 6, and then obviously my events. That's
Yeah.
it. Everything else is a 1k or 2k.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then for the event lineup, everyone's favorite card this set, Red Rock. This card is busted.
That card is bonkers.
It beats half the format single-handedly because just bouncing any character at the bottom of the deck is annoying for anyone to deal with.
I was gonna say, I think that's the best card in set 4.
Yes, 100%. For at least blue, at the
Yeah.
least. I used it against a yellow player round 3 to play it 5 times in a game because of Miss All Sunday looping it.
What?
I played 10 blockers and he played 4 10-drop Big Moms that game.
And you just bot decked all
I just
of
red
them.
rocked.
I would say you rocked Mom's World.
I hope not. And then I play 4 of the events, 1000 Worlds. This card's still really good. Its trigger is like relevant in this format for a few of the decks, but honestly, you just want it for its from hand effect. Against Whitebeard, it's good early game. Sentamaru is really annoying for Whitebeard to answer too. So you have a lot of really good early game pressure, and your boss monsters, you just like stop them from playing the game late game.
That's awesome.
And then I played 2 Twister. Its trigger effect is actually like might be the best trigger in my deck.
What's the trigger?
It bounces a 6 cost or less to hand.
That's actually insane.
Yeah, so any game that I get to see and know that Sentamaru is telling me this is there, I will try to play around it if I can.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Overall, I was really happy with how the deck went. I've been playing it for probably about a month now, just testing it on Sim before the format.
Last call for Buddy Bear.
I don't know if it's the best deck of the format by any means, but I think it is a very good counter meta deck, and it outs a lot of the top 3 decks.
That's awesome. So what was your hardest matchup?
Law is very interesting. If you can win the early, if you can stay alive early game, you win the game because they have a worse late game than you do now. Also, all the blockers help you just wall out them because if you can stay at like 2 life against them and just wall up, they can't kill you with an unblockable loopy combo.
That makes sense.
Whitebeard's pretty favored. It's definitely not like guaranteed. It's probably like a 60-40 in my favor slightly. But if they see a good opener and I don't see removal, like they do just snowball me.
That makes sense.
Sentamaru is like a must-have in that matchup. Probably yellow is probably favored in my favor pretty heavily now with all the blockers. Zoro's probably your worst matchup.
Gotcha.
But Zoro is not very common, but just being able to kill all the Sentas is impossible almost.
That makes sense.
But the MVP obviously is the leader effect. The leader effect is way too much value.
Now, how often do you actually trigger that effect?
Depends on the matchup, but on average, at least 2 to 3 times a game.
Really? That much?
Late game, you don't mind just to start dwindling down your Dawn because you have boss monsters on board and your blockers are so cheap. Sentamaru is like dirt cheap. So you just get to a point where you don't need 10 Dawn every turn, so you just start slowly dwindling your Dawn down to clear their board and just bounce like non-counter cards back to hand.
That makes sense. All right. Well, thank you so much. Congratulations again on your top 8. Shout outs to MetaMats and Dueling Guard for being awesome sponsors. Do you have any shout outs for yourself as well?
Shout out to Luxury for helping me get out here, and then shout out to Jackson and a few of my other locals for helping out with the deck. Thomas came in with really good changes the night before that actually helped a lot. We actually maxed out this card and maxed out Dofi Blocker, and it came up a lot.
You were only on 3?
Yeah, I was on 3 and 3 to play 4 Kumas, and we cut down because Kuma wasn't as good as I wanted it to be.
That makes sense.
Very happy overall, and I pulled the number 5 Luffy, so
let's go.
we're chilling.
So we got number 5 right here. We got number 6 right there. Well, congratulations again, and thank you so much.
Yeah.